biggest thing is just go and try to enjoy whatever sport that you're playing as much as you can and try to build relationships with your teammates as best as you can, because that's the stuff that you're going to miss probably the most when you're done playing, more than, oh, did I get to play here? Did I get to play there? Like, that time that you have with your teammates and just the process of playing the sport is so much more that I wish I would have just took more time in trying to like embrace, versus, oh, why am I not playing over this person or playing over that person?
What's up, good people? Welcome to season 3 of the Dear Young Athlete podcast, where we talk to coaches and athletes about their journeys and what advice they would have for a younger version of themselves. I'm your host, Jacob Thompson. I am a speaker, author, recording artist, content creator, rare disease advocate, and an aspiring Paralympian. If you want to hear my story, check out season 1, episode 1. But enough about me. Let's meet our guest. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, the man I get to speak to today. He is a husband. He's a former collegiate basketball player who was part of a conference championship and led his conference in assists senior year. He is a head high school basketball coach. He's an educator, and above all that, he is a man of God. I'm very excited for this conversation. Without further ado, Tyler Barker. Tyler, how are you feeling?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good. I've been looking forward to this. So why don't we jump into it? You play college basketball, you're coaching basketball, but where did it all begin for Tyler Barker? How did you fall in love with playing sports?
Well, at a very young age, I was introduced. My dad put me in every sport you could possibly imagine growing up. And I had 3 sisters with that too, so we kind of just we're all trying out different sports when we were younger, and kind of basketball was the one that I enjoyed the most. So I probably played since I was 5 years old, and now I still just play whenever I can, whether that's with the kids I coach or a men's league or anything like that.
Yeah, that's fun. So you started when you were 5. You said you had siblings. Where do you fall in the sibling lineup?
I'm in the middle. I have a twin sister, and then a younger sister and an older sister. So
Okay. So did the older sister beat up on you at all in basketball? Or?
No. It was she was better at other sports, so it was kind of me and my twin sister, or not my younger sister, kind of battling it out. But then I was fortunate to have a lot of older friends growing up too, so playing with them helped as well.
Yeah, so you played kind of as a kid. At what point do you begin to get more serious, and what kind of sports are you playing middle school, getting into high school? What does that look like?
Yeah, I played baseball and football. I played both of them up till 9th grade, and then after that, I just played basketball, and I'd play like rec league baseball and stuff. But I was pretty small growing up. Not that I'm much bigger now, but so I kind of just took a knack to basketball, where football I had to be a little bigger to be good at it, and baseball I just couldn't hit as well as the other kids. So basketball kind of just stuck.
So at what point do you kind of figure out, hey, I want to play in college? And then being smaller, what does that, do you feel like, oh, I'm too small, or people telling you that, or what does that look like?
Yeah, I didn't even play college right away out of high school. I honestly, I kind of got uh burnt out a little bit from it, so I just went to go to school up in NDSU, and that's kind of where I really missed it. So I ended up transferring back and found my way to Bethel, and then I just honestly I just joined the team just to meet some people at Bethel and to learn. Our coach there was pretty well known for being a really good coach. So I just wanted to learn from him because I knew I always wanted to coach. And then I ended up getting to play at my senior year. So I really didn't have any high goals of playing in college. I wanted to play basketball as long as I could. And then I kind of got sick of it and then fell in love with it again.
Yeah. Take us into that journey. Like, what was your high school career like? What made you kind of burn out, and how'd you end up at NDSU?
Yeah, high school. I played. I only played varsity my senior year. We had kids in front of us that were pretty good. Like they had been playing, I think, since they were freshmen and sophomores. So I was always just kind of playing at my grade level. And then sophomore and junior, I played JV, and then varsity. I got a senior year, I played varsity, and we did pretty well. I think it was just kind of like a whole career of just playing basketball all the time. I was like, oh, I'm ready to do something new, and I had a good experience in high school. Like I enjoyed my coaches and all that, but it was more just maybe I knew I wasn't gonna get to play anywhere right away at college. So it's like I'll just go to school and go with my friends and kind of start a new chapter. But for me, I think that was kind of God's way of using where I was at to kind of push me back towards my faith. And I kind of uh, at NDSU, I just missed basketball a ton, so I tried to find a way back to playing wherever I could.
Yeah. So you're at NDSU, you're missing basketball. What brings you to Bethel? Is it just what you said about the coach, or like how do you that's kind of a big change, right?
Yeah.
NDSU to Bethel, like what is it that brings you there?
Well, the biggest thing really was one of my good buddies. Uh, his name is Bridge. He played at Bethel, and I've known him since I was like probably 10 years old. And he was kind of just telling me to come there and just to play and learn under the coach. Um, and I knew it was a good school, you know, grounded in it, like the background with Christianity and all that. And that played a role into it too, where I knew I could grow in my faith, but then also get to play basketball. So it was kind of between Bethel and Northwestern, and then Bridge kind of just convinced me to come to Bethel. So I ended up living
Yeah,
with him my first year there.
cool. And so how did it feel kind of coming in? You skipped a year. Like take us kind of through that college journey of being a new guy to eventually getting to play.
Yeah, definitely uh, a lot of learning experience from that. Like I went there, I didn't really know anyone. My sister ended up going too, so I did know her and Bridge, but I really didn't get to know people until basketball kind of started, and um, I ended up playing JV my first year there because they had a JV team, and that's where I kind of met a lot of my close friends now. Like I believe you had Robbie on your
Yeah.
podcast earlier, and that's kind of where he became my best from there. We both played JV and then played varsity or sat varsity, and it was just a whole lot of learning that I was able to do, which was awesome for me. And I had no expectations to play at all, so it's kind of just like um, to me, it was really fun, even though I didn't get to play a ton right away.
Yeah. I think that's probably a good word for the younger listener to hear. you were able to go to college, join a team, and have a great time, even though you didn't contribute varsity minutes. Like, do you have any more to say about that? Like, I'm thinking of kind of embracing that and what that must have been like for you.
Yeah, I think for me, I didn't want to. You can't. There's only so much you can control if the coach will play you or not. And for me, I try to look at it from the coach's perspective too, where I'm just a kid transferring in, and he didn't really know who I was, and there's a lot of better kids in front of me. So I think that's the hardest part is just you know continuing to work on your skill, whatever that is, not seeing the benefits of it right away, but knowing that just going through the process is going to help you grow. So I
Yeah,
was able to develop a work ethic from it, and I mean, I got to meet some of my closest friends. So I'm definitely happy for the experience.
yeah. I love what you said there about kind of what you can control. Because when you ride the bench, it's easy to like get an attitude and then not give it 100%. And you can go that route, or you can say, hey, I can control my work ethic. I can control the fact that my shot needs to get better if I'm going to play in the game, or I have to get a
Yeah,
better understanding of our team flow. And yeah, that is just such
and
a go
can I
ahead,
add
go ahead.
one other thing? Kind of pop. I mean, I think even just now from a coaching perspective too, but like everyone has a role on the team, whether you're playing all the minutes or you're playing no minutes, and I think that was something that kind of Robbie and I tried to embrace too. Like we had to play a lot of defense, but we also helped, I believe, to help the team get better that year, and um, even helped us for when we got to play later on. As I learned stuff from not getting to play and just trying to grow and practice. So, I mean, everyone has a role on the team, whether you want to embrace it or not. Is kind of up to the person.
Hmm. Yeah, so good. So good. So how do you transition? I imagine if you led the conference and assists, did you become a starter? You must have been playing a lot. How did that come about?
Yeah, so my senior year, that's when I got to play the most. I started all the games my senior year, and um, we had a pretty good team. So a lot of shooters around, and that's the only reason I was able to lead the league in assists because I had people making shots. It wasn't um, too much of me, but a lot of good shooters around me.
Yeah, I've always kind of felt like basketball should have like two stats, like assists and like setups. Because I always felt like when you set someone up and they get fouled and make two free throws, you
Yeah.
don't get the assist. It's like,
Yeah, or
but
they miss a wide open shot or something
yeah,
like that.
but yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think if people can hear what you're saying, like you embrace your role, you made the most of your role, you made great friends, you made the team better, you developed this work ethic and humility, and then with time, um, you got to start and you got to contribute. And even if you didn't, though, if that never happened, I think what I'm hearing and pulling out is like you still would have loved the process. Like if we can fall in love with that process and with embracing our role, then we can get just more joy and grow more. And like if you start, if you contribute, that's great, but knowing is so much bigger than that. Like if we can take that into every area of life, that's huge.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, my coach said this at Bethel too. And I think at the time you don't really kind of understand it, but there's more to basketball than basketball. And that's kind of what he would talk about, where there's so much more that I grew as a person in my faith just from going through the process of playing basketball and trying to get better at basketball.
Yeah. So you said you always wanted to be a coach. Why did you always want to be a coach? And then how did you actually become a coach?
I think probably since I was like 11 or 12, I had people kind of saying like to me that, oh, they could see me being a coach when I'm older. And that's something that I kind of took to heart. And I've always loved like the strategic side of basketball and felt I could pick up on that pretty quickly when I played. And so for me, that was something that, if I get to be around basketball and coach it, and that's part of my job growing up, like, why wouldn't I want to do that? And then, um, kind of the process, like playing basketball is a big part of it. But then, even when I was at Bethel, Robbie and I coached an AAU team together, so I got to coach that um, since I was, I think, probably like 20. So I coached that for 5 years. Um, and then I also coached at Bethel and then coached at a few different high schools until I got to Rocori. But I think a lot of it was just watching basketball and trying to learn as much as I can about basketball, and then getting to apply that and being around kids and teaching that to them was something that I always enjoyed.
Yeah. Yeah, what AAU team did you coach? Because I coached AAU for a couple of years. I wonder if we would ever cross
Yeah,
paths.
my first year was at Real Athletics.
Okay.
I think they're a real phenom now or something like
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
then I was at Crossfire, and
Okay.
then kind of the guy that was the head of Crossfire went to start his own um, AAU program, the North Star Titans now. So I was there when they first started that too.
Okay. So the real athletics guy, he used to partner with Urban Ventures.
Yep.
We had a team in that partnership,
Okay.
but
So what was your team?
we what did we just were UVA, Urban
Okay.
Ventures Athletics, and yeah, it was a fun time. I you probably were just behind me time wise, so but yeah, I think what I hear often from people that coach is like you didn't become a coach overnight. And I think for people that are listening and hearing, it's like it's a common theme. And it sounds like similar to you. The first coach that hired me to coach was my coach. And it sounds like if you coach at Bethel, is that true for you too? Hey, 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 if you are enjoying this podcast, I need you to do two things. One, go on whatever platform that you're on and follow the podcast. Rate us and review us. This will help the algorithm and help this podcast reach more people. So thank you. Then I want you to head to 1020words.com/DYA. TEN20words.com/DYA. Check out our merchandise. We got hoodies, crew necks, sweatshorts, t-shirts, anything that you would want. Get some super comfy, stylish apparel and use code all caps DYA20 and take 20% off. Follow us on social media. Instagram at Dear Young Athlete, or on TikTok and Instagram. My account is at 1020 words. If you're interested in being on the podcast or bringing Dear Young Athlete to your school, team, or group, simply head to the website and click the button that says Bring DYA to your team, school, or group, and send me an email, and I will look forward to connecting with you. Now, let's get back to the episode.
A little bit. I mean, yeah, part of that too is before I went to Bethel, I also coached the ninth grade volunteer at my high school and kind of helped out at varsity too. So yeah, kind of people I played for, then I ended up helping coach with.
Yeah. And I feel like it's so important for players to hear is like, are you the kind of player that your coach would want to hire to be a coach?
Yeah.
And that has almost nothing to do with how talented you are. I mean,
Correct.
we probably both coach like super talented players that we would never ask to coach and have the opposite true. And that would be my challenge to the listeners is like, are you a team first player? Are you embracing your role? Are you showing up, putting in work, building positive culture? Like, man, if you're on the bench, like you gotta have the sickest 3-point sellies for your guys. Yeah, no, I don't know if you have anything you want to add there.
No, I love that. I mean, just going back to controlling what you can control, like if you don't get to play, can you still contribute and help to the team? And I know that was another thing I tried to embrace too, along with Robbie, is we would just try to bring energy from the bench. And to me, I'd rather bring energy. That was more enjoyable for me to be part of a game than just to sit there and be all pouty and stuff like that for not getting to play. So that is definitely something that I think is huge to be on a team.
Yeah, so good. So now you got to be a head coach. When you think of being a coach, and what it means to you, what would you say about that? Kind of your why in coaching and what it means to you to be entrusted with this role?
Yeah, I think for me, like I've had good coaches and I've had bad coaches, and like I always wanted I knew whenever I got to coach, I wanted to hopefully bring a positive experience to the kids because it's basketball. It's supposed to be fun and it's supposed to be competitive. But I think, like for me, wherever I was, that was kind of the thing that I hope kids would get from out of basketball, is that it's fun and that they got to grow as men and meet people along the way as well. But like, I love just the strategic part of it, and that's why I love coaching, but also like building relationships with the kids. Has been awesome to see. Like even some of the kids I've coached at AU now are playing in college, and just seeing them kind of grow from when I've known them since they were like 14 or 15 years old, and now they're in college. So it's definitely been cool just to build a bunch of different relationships from basketball.
Yeah. And you like strategy, but I won't ask you to reveal your inbounds plays or any of your presses. We'll wait for the season to see that. That's great. So if I can transition, you kind of have mentioned growing in your faith, and you've kind of mentioned how God was at work in your heart with this move to Bethel and some of the friends that you made. Can you bring us into kind of your spiritual walk, growing up and this whole kind of high school and college piece to where you are now?
Yeah, so for me, I've been blessed with great parents and a great family where I grew up going to church all the time. It was a big part of my life growing up, but I would say in high school it really wasn't my own faith. I just believed kind of that's what my parents told me, and kind of just that's what I thought I was supposed to do. And then once you get to college, you're on your own, so to speak. Not that you're not around people and all that, but for me, that's kind of where I was like, okay, what do I believe? Do I really believe in God and Jesus? And for me, that's where I kind of took the next step of trying to like figure that out. And I actually at NDSU developed pretty bad anxiety there. And I think I always say now, like to me, that's one of the biggest things and the best things that have ever happened to me, um, because it really helped me kind of grow in my faith and made me depend on God. And it was kind of like a wake up call. And so, like, I had developed really bad anxiety there, and I started trying to get connected to a ministry program up at NDSU called Crew. And then that kind of, through that, my anxiety got a little better, but I knew that um, I wasn't going to get where I needed to be if I stayed there. So, with my anxiety and also missing basketball, I came back and uh, transferred back and just went to school back in Maple Grove to community college for a year. And then after that, I ended up going to Bethel. And to me, it was huge to go to Bethel for a basketball standpoint, but more importantly, for a faith standpoint, where you have to take certain Bible classes there and stuff. And for me, I was able to learn a ton from them, kind of just like about stuff that I had no clue with my faith and all that stuff. Just and then like the different stuff they provide with chapel and different speakers that come in. And then my friends that I met there at Bethel through basketball as well also were uh, believers and kind of we pushed each other in our faith as well. So like the combination of having anxiety and then pushing me all the way to go to Bethel, it's just like for me, there's no other way to describe it other than God kind of leading me and pushing me in that direction, and then being able to grow in my faith a ton from that.
Yeah, I think like your story is so relatable to a lot of people, growing up, um, and kind of maybe being a part of a church or a youth group. You probably have a lot of guys on your team in a similar boat, but once you leave the house, that's always my kind of challenge to young people I work with. Like, once you leave, it doesn't matter what your parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles and your youth pastor and high school friends, it doesn't matter what they believe. It matters what you believe, because what you believe is going to inform, who
Yeah.
you are and how you act. And even I appreciate just you talking about having anxiety, just to help people see, like, we're not all perfect. Just because you're a head coach, you're not immune to struggles, and being self-aware to say, man, I was dealing with anxiety. And then where you go from there, because you could let that kind of put you into a shell, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it goes back to kind of what you were saying, like what we do and don't control. You maybe couldn't control the fact that you were experiencing anxiety, but you could control, like, okay, I'm going to do something and I'm going to still take chances and try different things. I think that's so admirable, and I my hope is that people can hear that and follow your example, really, because
Thank you.
like you, I think people will find a lot of growth and opportunity.
Yeah, and I mean, I think for me too, it's just kind of like showing how God can use the worst parts that you're going through for good, and like you would think like, oh, I didn't want to go through that, but like to me, I don't know where I'd be in my faith if I didn't go through that. And um so like there's stuff going on in people's life that they can't quite understand. Like I think for me it's just like, how can you trust on God and depend on God, and for me, like my anxiety didn't go away right away, but it took time um for it to go away, but it did. And oh, I mean, it all had to do with God helping me through it.
Yeah, I think too that's two cool things that you mentioned is one, you were able to learn more and actually become more confident in your faith. And that's, we hear the opposite often, like, oh, I went to college and became an atheist. And it's like, my challenge is like, hey, actually look at the history, actually look at uh, did a man named Jesus
Yeah.
live, die, and rise from the dead? And like, that's my I won't even say more about it because like, hey, just study it and see, like, for
Yeah,
real.
exactly.
But then also I liked how you mentioned like learning to trust God, learning to depend on God. And growing up we can feel like, church or whatever is all about just rules and do this and don't do that. And you have to dress like this and talk like that. For me, a big reason I do this is like I love sports so much growing up, but I didn't find, I felt like I couldn't have my sports self and my church self. Like it didn't mix. But what you said is like this God is so much bigger than a rule book or trying to tell you how to be or talk. It's like this God can actually make changes in your life and change in your heart, and you don't have to quit your sport and be a priest. It's like God, he wants your sport, your talent, your struggle. Like we can bring it all to God, and he can write a beautiful story with a broken pencil.
Yeah, and like I love that. Like for me too, I mean, I met so many cool people from the sport, but I think Jesus and like used it in a way um, to help me grow in my faith as well. And I think he can do that for other people too. So that I think that's why, like for coaching, it's a big part. Like I'm hoping somehow, to have an impact on kids where it's like, okay, who it like that they would know God and want to know more about Jesus, through sports.
Mm, yeah, exactly. Like God, God created sports. I believe like he's the one that had this idea of having fun and having competition and building a team and just the strategy, all that goes into it. It's like, God he's the creator of all good things. And the problem becomes when we make the sport the god, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
or anything. And it's like, man, people think you can think like God is boring, but when you realize like God created fun and comedy and
Yep.
entertainment and like every good food, it's like, man, God
Yeah.
is amazing. Like, and yeah, I'm grateful that you are now coaching and saying, how can I impact players to know this God that can give you purpose and give you transformation and give you joy
Yeah.
and peace. Like, I'm
Yeah.
encouraged, and I'm believing like you are gonna make an amazing impact on your players and your school. And yeah,
Appreciate
that's
that.
awesome. So transitioning a little bit, I think we touched on this a lot, but I like to ask people, there are so many lessons in sports that apply and translate to our lives. Um, we could talk all day about it, but if you could pick kind of your favorite one and then how you've seen it actually apply to life, what would that be? Hey, are you a high school or college athlete looking to use social media to share your faith in Christ? If so, I would love to personally connect with you and tell you about our brand ambassador program, where we can get you hooked up with some of our merchandise to rep on your social media platforms, and we can get you hooked up with a coupon code for your audience where you earn commission on any sales that come from your platform. Head to our website and click the button that says Become a Brand Ambassador. I look forward to connecting with you, and let's spread the good news together and do it in style.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I mean, for me, there's a lot of, like you said, a lot of things I could say. And I think for me, just the biggest thing was taking away from, that I can take away from playing sports, just perseverance. Like, there's so many times where you want to stop doing something, or because it's hard, or you're not seeing um, the benefits of it right away. But um, for me, like, no matter if it was the outcome that I wanted to at the end, I still was able to gain something from it. So, like, whatever you're doing, I would just say, like, have perseverance through it. And that's what I was able to learn from all the different sports I played. Like, it taught me something in the end.
Yeah, yeah, so good. My wife, who was a great athlete in her time, she's very athletic. If she hears this, I don't want her to be mad at me. She's an all-star. But she always says like growing up, her mom would say like you can't quit on a bad day. You had that bad
Yeah,
game or you have a bad, you know, practice or interaction with the coach. But if you're gonna quit, it can't be because of that. And if
yeah,
we can take that into life, it's like um we're all gonna encounter various forms of adversity, and
yeah,
if you can keep showing up, um that's what it's all about. you know it's not
yeah.
about
Something
life.
good's gonna come out of it.
Yeah, Yeah. It's not about having an easy journey, but it's about keep showing up every day, keep showing up for your team, keep showing up for your family and your loved ones. And yeah, if you think it's hard showing up to practice and workouts, that should be like the best part of your day. Just wait till
Yeah,
you have to keep showing up to work, or you have to keep showing up for your newborn child, which is very joyful and amazing, but it's not easy. So if we can
yeah,
develop that habit of doing hard things, persevering, that will
yeah.
carry us. Did you have anything to add there?
No, that's good. I think that's real good stuff.
Yeah. Well, we're coming to a close here, and so this podcast is called Dear Young Athlete. So when I made this podcast, I really made it to speak to my younger self. You know, what would I have needed to hear growing up? Um, and so if you can finish the statement, dear young athlete, what do you want to say to your players? What would you say to a younger Tyler?
Yeah, that's a good quote. That is a really good statement. I think for me, dear young athlete, like the biggest thing is just go and try to enjoy whatever sport that you're playing as much as you can and try to build relationships with your teammates as best as you can because that's the stuff that you're gonna miss probably the most when you're done playing more than, oh, did I get to play here? Did I get to play there? Like that time that you have with your teammates and just the process of playing the sport um, is so much more that I wish I would have just took more time in trying to like embrace versus, oh, why am I not playing over this person or playing over that person? Um, and just kind of embracing all the stuff that really doesn't even have to do with the sport. It's just the relationships you build along the way. And try to learn as much as you can, whether that's from any coach that you have, if you agree with it or not, there's something you can always learn from any coach that you have, whether that's the way you want to do something or the way you don't want to do it.
Hmm. Yeah, I like that you mentioned enjoying the journey, and that's coming from somebody who burned out and then came back, right? And
Yeah,
man, it would how as an adult you long for that team like, man, if I could go work out every day with the team, that would be amazing.
yeah,
But us old guys, like, we just have to kind of get up and grind it out, and yeah, enjoy it, man. Don't take
yeah,
a single day of it for granted. One day you'll blink and it's over, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah,
when I see my high school friends, you know, we still talk about the good times that we had, you know, playing sports together. And so just enjoy it. Yeah, don't stop worrying so much about this or that, and just show up, give it your best, and enjoy it. I think that is a great word. So, with that being said, do you have any last words for the people that you want to say?
I think, I mean, And I like that this is a big faith podcast. I would just say to anyone that's listening, hopefully that they can try to, um, you know, challenge themselves in what they kind of believe and like try to seek God and seek Jesus and see like seek out Jesus and see who he is and really who he said he was, and just you can kind of see how he'll transform your life.
I've been studying the book of John, and these guys come up to Jesus and they're like, "Hey, where are you staying?" Like, and what they mean is like, "Where do you live?" Like, who are you? What do you do? And he doesn't give a sermon or a lesson. He says, "Come and see. Just come check it out." And that's how always my invitation about Jesus is like, come and see, come find out.
Yeah.
Like, I know God has changed my life, brought me through a lot, very challenging, that I still have a lot of challenges with my health, but like God has brought me through. Tyler, he's here talking about how God has been present for him. So just come and see. Come and see.
Yeah.
And I think that is a great place to end. So, Tyler, thank you. Peace.
Thanks for having me.
And there you have it. One more episode in the books of the Dear Young Athlete podcast. Thank you for listening. Again, check out our website, our social media, rate and review us. Make sure you're following because we have some great episodes coming up that you won't want to miss. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.